Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming to the eGlass workshop session. My name is Han Dong. I'm the instructional technology librarian at the University of Idaho Library. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Kevin Dobbins, who is going to be the moderator for this session. And throughout this session, if you have any questions about eGlass, about anything that I have said, feel free to either unmute yourself, put the questions in the chat, or to wait until the end for the Q&A session. And today we'll be talking about the eGlass, specifically what it is, why do you want to use it for your instruction, how do you use it. We'll take a look at some examples of how other instructors have been using the similar type of technology, and then we'll look at some best practices of using this specific piece of hardware. So let me go ahead and open up my PowerPoint. It will just take about 10 seconds. All right, so what is eGlass? Well, eGlass is a illuminated transparent glass whiteboard that allows you to draw, annotate, and write at the same time. So we have many different neon color pens, allows you to write on the board. So to show you how that works, I'll show you the dimensions of this piece of hardware. So this is a 50-inch eGlass, and the width is 44 inches, and the height is 25 inches. And it comes in with built-in lights. And so there are two different sets of lights, really helps the ink glow and also to illuminate the instructor. And so if I turn down the instructor, I can make myself disappear. And if I turn on the glass light, the writings will become pretty much invisible. And also comes with a built-in camera. So here is the camera. So it is right here. The camera captures all your writings, all your facial expressions, all your gestures, along with anything that you write, anything that you draw, all in the same frame. So that's really handy. And also comes in with the built-in recording function. So with a touch of a button, you should be able to record this and save locally as a video file. And in addition, the eGlass is also sitting on a height adjustable desk. So let me just draw a desk real quick. Here's the desk. And you can adjust the height. So some instructors, they may prefer to be doing the instruction while standing up, and some might prefer to be sitting down. So it's really up to your preference. And so that's that. Any questions so far about the eGlass? Okay, so that is eGlass in a nutshell. And next we'll talk about some of the functions for the eGlass, what you can do with the eGlass besides just writing on this piece of glass. And we'll take a look at the eGlass Fusion, the proprietary software, and I'll look at some additional features that comes with the eGlass. So give me just 1 minute to wipe everything that I have written on the board. So what can you do with the eGlass? Well, first of all, you can choose to use it to record videos for asynchronous instruction. So you can use any recording software such as Zoom, Teams, and Camtasia, because we actually have two different separate cameras. So one is this camera, and we also have a computer separately hooked up to it. And you can choose to actually bring your own device and hook up to your own laptop if you want to save the file locally, or if you have like a specific software, specific applications that you want to demonstrate from your laptop. And so as long as you are choosing the eGlass camera, then you should be able to record things locally for asynchronous instruction. Besides asynchronous, you can also choose to use Zoom or Teams for synchronous instruction. So the eGlass is nicely integrated with Zoom. And so you can choose to, like what I did, set up this meeting as anybody with the link, they should be able to join this, session, and anybody can see what I'm writing on the screen. Everything is going to be on the same frame. You can choose to overlay additional media and applications. So let me show you the additional features of the eGlass Fusion software. And I'll just show you, I'm not gonna have the time to show you everything, but just a couple, some of the ones that you can use. First is to overlay media and application. As you see that I have my PowerPoint overlaid on this eGlass. So that's one of the things that you can overlay, and pretty much any application that you can open on your desktop computer, images, PowerPoint, Word, PDF. So we are using this viewer function. It's called the media play. So if I click media play, and it's going to bring up all the applications that have opened. So if I choose this, say, Excel spreadsheet, then go back to my spreadsheet. Let me resize this a little bit. Ooh, that did not work as well as I wanted to be. So let me try it again. Okay. Okay, let me first resize it. I forgot to resize this before we get the meeting started. My apologies. And then go to Viewer, Media Play, and choose this spreadsheet. And now it's covering my face. What you can do is to use the remove the background function. So if I choose the remove background and invert the color, and so now the writings on there is becoming transparent. So now I can choose to say highlight like this specific title. I want to draw folks' attention to it. So you can do that as well. You can choose to annotate. You can choose to write on top of it. You can choose to draw. So that's the overlay media function. And then, as I mentioned, you can remove the background from your content. Anything that's black and white works great. Besides that, you can also choose to take snapshots. And so one of the features here is over here under snapshots. So if I choose to click this icon, it's going to take the snapshot, take a photo of what I already written on the board. If I have something overlaid, so it's going to show up over there. And what I can do with it is to pull up a side-by-side. And so it's going to bring out all the additional media I already taken a picture of previously. And so if I say, when I have written like a problem or something overlaid, I can choose to take a snapshot of it. And so here's the comparison. So let's work on the solution together. So that will be one example how you can use it. And if you drag this slider, so you can make one image larger than the other one. And so that's a really handy tool for the side-by-side and the snapshot feature. Okay, you can choose to flip the image. So because the camera flips the image for you, so that you are now writing backwards. So if you need to show like an object, so everything is going to be backwards. So what you can do with it is to flip the image. And in addition to flip the image, you can choose to zoom in and out. So let me show you how that works. So first I can go to view options here and then click mirror. And now everything will be mirrored, but because this book is so small, you can't see what's written on there. So I can choose to use the zoom function. So now if I zoom in, there it is. Now you can see what's written on there. And so if you have like an image, or if you have something that you overlaid and you want to draw people's attention, you can use that function to flip the image. You can zoom in and out. So that's another handy feature as well. You can choose to annotate. So besides just using the neon markers to write on the physical glass, there is the annotation function within the eGlass. So if you click the annotate, it's going to bring out this little circle. So you can choose to draw like squares. You can say, hey, you can choose to annotate. So here's an arrow. And if I want to add text, I can choose to say, welcome to the eGlass workshop. And the reason why you want to do this is because sometimes you can choose to move this to different locations. So obviously, if you already written something on the glass, you wouldn't be able to move it somewhere else unless you erase it and then start all over. So this could be a very handy feature. Also allows you to copy text from like a Word document to any other applications directly into the annotation feature. Let me go ahead and erase everything here. And that. So next, I want to talk about the benefits of using the eGlass. Essentially, why do we want to use it? But before we get there, any questions so far? Okay, none whatsoever. So let's go ahead and move forward. So first, I want to talk about the challenges with traditional whiteboard and blackboard. As we all know that when you are teaching a class in the physical classroom, you have to turn back to the students. You have to be facing the blackboard in order to draw. So one issue is that you are losing the connections. You are losing that engagement with the students because you cannot see the students. And after you finish drawing, so your body might be blocking some of the words. And the students, sometimes they have to frantically like copy everything that was written down. And at the same time, you might be trying to provide instructions at the same time. So they might have a hard time focusing on what you have to say with copying what's on the board at the same time. So that's a very challenging issue with the traditional whiteboard or the blackboard. And then when it comes to in-person instruction, you might be using PowerPoint a lot. So I think there's an interesting balance between like how much words that you want to put on a PowerPoint slide. So if you are making the slides available to the students after the class, and then obviously like students will appreciate that you provide as much detail as possible. But during the class, if you have a lot of words on there, students might try to focus on trying to read off the slide. They may have a hard time trying to focus on what you have to say. And some other online classes for asynchronous classes that I've seen folks who record, I've seen a lot of folks are recording a lot of PowerPoint slides, doing like a screencast with their voiceover narration. And so depending on how you do it, so if you are reading off the slides, students might feel like the voiceover might be redundant, and they could have just, like read off the slide rather than watch the whole video. And obviously, if you are going off script, then students have to juggle between reading what's written on the slide and what you have to say at the same time. What we know about student preferences in terms of videos specifically is that first, they prefer videos that are shorter. And so I think there have been some studies where that's measuring like students' retention, their retention as they are watching the video. So this is the retention percentage, and this will be like the video length. So essentially, what the research have shown that as the video goes longer, it is generally more difficult for the students to pay attention to the video. They will lose focus. Sometimes they even just close the whole video without actually finishing the whole thing. So that's one of the issues with videos that are longer, especially in longer videos, especially in asynchronous online classes, that it's just very difficult for the students to stay focused, stay engaged. Students also prefer to have the instructor's talking head available, especially if you are doing like a screencast, doing like a Zoom recording. So if this is like a computer that I have, and I have some slides, and students really prefer to have instructors available. So I guess that would be one advantage of using Zoom, because you always have your face showing on the top right corner, so the students can see your face. What the students also prefer is that they actually like, if you have like a specific setup, like a green screen, so you can remove the background and just have your face showing on the corner. That will be even more effective. And they also like instructors to draw freehand if you have things to draw, if you rather than just showing like an image and then trying to talk over it. So obviously that we know it is difficult to use your mouse to draw, even though there is a whiteboard function in Zoom, but using your mouse to draw anything is almost impossible. So what the eGlass allows you to do is, first of all, to maintain eye contact with the students. So here I have two different images. The first image is me trying to giving a presentation using Zoom. So I might be appearing looking down, and the reason I was looking down was not because I was not paying attention to what's going on in the Zoom session, but because so if this is the computer, if this is the monitor that I was trying to narrate, and so if this is like my eye, so I have to pay attention to what's going on here. But in reality, the webcam might be over here. So this will be my webcam. So I'm not going to be looking up at my webcam and not focus on what's showing on the monitor. So that's why I might be appearing to be like looking down, not paying attention. But that's just one of the issues with the webcam separate from the computer monitor. So it's just difficult to be like focusing both the webcam and the monitor at the same time. But the eGlass allows you to maintain eye contact with the students, because you know exactly where the camera is. So I can always choose to focus on the camera and write anything I want at the same time to provide instruction. So that'll be one advantage of using the eGlass. In addition to that, also allows you to not have the writing and the drawing obscured by your head or body. So obviously with the traditional whiteboard or the blackboard, whatever you are blocking, students cannot see. But with the eGlass, so if I'm writing over my face, I should probably use a different color. If I'm writing over my face, students can still see it. It's because it's transparent. And so I don't have to worry about like my body or face is going to be in the way. So that's another advantage of the eGlass. eGlass also allows you to capture your facial expressions, your gaze, gestures, body language, along with the writing. So I think this is really valuable if you are one of those instructors who rely a lot on your nonverbal communication cues to do the instruction. And so everything can be captured, and all your writings, everything students can see in the same frame. So that's another advantage of the eGlass. Also allows you to deliver effective instruction that the students will respond positively. So there has been many research done on this type of technology. Basically, there are many different mixed method study results shown that by using the control group and study group, the student learning and their satisfaction were measured using test results and the survey. And studies have shown that they really responded to this type of eGlass video very positively. And after today's workshop, I'm going to email you the recording as well as the slide. So if you are interested in checking out the different studies, all their methodologies, their research method, feel free to check those out as well. Next, I want to talk about some examples of using the eGlass, some specific examples for instruction. Any questions so far before I move on? You can always wait until the end as well. So Well, what are some instructions that can use this specific technology? So obviously, any classes that requires a lot of writing, a lot of drawing is going to be really benefited from the eGlass. Like any STEM classes, like chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics, all of those can really utilize eGlass. But besides just the STEM classes, there are also other disciplines that can use the eGlass as well. So here we have like an art class where the instructor was drawing this specific portrait and showing the specific process to help the students to understand how to draw this specific drawing. And then here's a music class. So the instructor was playing this specific song, of course, with no name, and he was has already drawn the guitar chords on there. And so that as he was playing the different chords, he will update it to show that there are different chords to play different sounds and so on. Here is a movement science where the instructor was demonstrating the proper technique to do a kettlebell swing. And so we see that there are 4 different steps that you need to follow. And he also used like the different colors to demonstrate. So this is the persons, and this is going to be the bell. This is going to be the kettlebell, and here is where he make the movement to do the proper swing, and showing the specific technique that you need to focus on. Here is a foreign language class. So the instructor overlaid some images and also demonstrated some foreign language characters as well. Besides just the traditional disciplines, we have also seen some other creative uses as well. So here is an example where the instructor was doing a live demonstration by displaying some real objects like the spring and the mass. So as he was dropping the mass to demonstrate the elastic potential energy, and then he wrote down all the equations for that specific scenario. So this would be one creative use. Another use would be having 2 instructors merge live in a live session. So one instructor was doing the drawing for an isometric drawing of a truck. And as this one instructor draws, the other instructor was providing the explanation, instruction for that specific drawing. Here is the instructor provided the problem they're trying to solve together. So here is the problem laid out over here. And on the top right, here are the variables for this specific problem. And so within this problem, there are two questions to solve. And so as he was providing the step-by-step solution, he used the different colors, neon pens, to demonstrate the different concepts, the different solutions for the different problems. Next, we can take a look at some best practices of using the eGlass. Any questions so far? Okay, so specific best practices for this section, I'm going to be borrowing some tips and tricks from the experts who have been using this technology very extensively, or a similar technology. They were using the whiteboard, but it's based on the same concept. So first of all, use colors to display different concepts. So if you have multiple concepts, so you can use different colors. So I can say concept number 1. And here is concept number 2. So if you have multiple concepts and using multiple colors, really helps the students to understand the relationship amongst those concepts, and helps them to understand the overall concept that you are trying to explain and illustrate as well. So that will be the first tip. Next up, we have, do not try to write everything down in real time. As you see that as you write, it takes time. So if you have a lot of things to write, it would be best to just display it as an image or as a text file, as a Word file, import it, or you can choose to have everything written. You can fill up the board before you start the recording. And then once you have the recording started and everything is on the board and the student can see everything at the same time, and then you can move on with the instruction. You want to plan your talk before the recording session begins. So just plan out what you have to say, other additional media that you want to display, and if you want to use the additional, features from the eGlass Fusion software, you can do that. So just make sure to plan ahead before you start the recording. And look into the camera as often as possible, as if the students that are present and watching. So this is really important, regardless whether you are doing a live Zoom session or doing something or creating a video for asynchronous instruction. Just going back to the idea that when you are making eye connections with the students, it really helps to drive up the engagement and the overall their understanding with the overall concept that you are trying to explain. 5 minutes, one topic, one board, stop. So going back to the idea that the students generally prefer videos that are shorter. So if you have like a 15-minute video that you want to create, and there might be 3 different concepts in that single video, what you can do is to break it down into 3 separate chunks. And for each video, you can make it 5 minutes, and then just to have the students watch 3 separate videos that are 5 minutes long each, as opposed to have one longer video and that's 15 minutes long, which is going to be difficult for the students to maintain their attention throughout the whole thing. Pause before starting, look at the camera. And so just to make sure that you are focused on what you have to say, what you have to write, and give it a little time before you start recording. And that can really help if you want to do any post-production, if you want to edit the video afterwards, that can really help with that. Wear dark clothing, no text or logo on your shirt. You want to wear dark clothing because it really helps the contrasting the neon pens writings and drawings, because these are lighter colors. If you are wearing darker clothing, it's really easy for the students to see. You don't want any text or logo on your shirt because that can be very distracting. So what I'm wearing today is like an example what you really not should be wearing, because it's very distracting because it is backward, right? And during filming, look at what you are writing while you are writing it. So try to avoid like looking sideways or looking down on your notes. So really pay attention to what you're drawing, and then trying to help the students to understand the concept as long as you provide the proper instructions and explanations. And last tip, don't strive for perfection. Good enough is good enough. Video recordings, video creations, productions generally are very time intensive, very time consuming. And so if you are like spending a lot of time working on this, so if sometimes you make some mistakes and you have to do another take and restart, that can be a lot of time. And sometimes if you feel like this video might be good enough, if it is good enough for you, a lot of times it might just be good enough for the students as well. That is the last tip I have, or from the experts. And that's pretty much all I had for today's session. So before we open up for questions, let me go ahead and put my email on there in case that folks have questions. So let me just use annotate and put my email over here. And if you have any questions that you want to reach out to me afterwards, here is my email. And any questions about the eGlass, about anything that we have talked about so far?
When I have a question real quick. So how many of these would you recommend, or maybe somebody in the audience would have an idea as well? How many of these would you recommend doing for a given semester long class, or is there any set number? Like,
Go ahead, sorry.
no, I was just going to say, like, one a week, try to do 2 a week, 2 a semester. I mean, what has anybody had experience with these in their class, and how the students respond?
I know that we have several other eGlass installed in other locations on campus. I think we are one in the library. We are one of the 7 locations where you can access the eGlass. But I think that there have been some other faculties from other colleges that have been using this for their instruction. I don't know the specific number, or neither can I tell you the specific names who have been using this. I know that some folks have been using it, but I really think ultimately, I think it really depends on what you are trying to achieve with your class. If you think that there might be like a specific applications for like a specific module, like if you want to do like a problem solution thing, or if you just want to try it out and see how the students respond, that would be something I would encourage, just to produce one video first and see whether students like it or not. If they might not like it, and then you know that there's no need for you to work on the second video, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I went through the syllabus and I'm just trying to figure out, like, what would be an appropriate topic, or use the eGlass to reinforce a very specific bullet point. And I ended up with like 20 of those, and thinking, okay, this would be a really 2 to 3 minutes max, but spread throughout the semester. But I do like your idea. Why necessarily do 20 if they don't work, right? So you might want to just do a couple, and then I would imagine once you get the hang of doing these, it's actually pretty seamless to put these together.
Yeah, it's really not difficult to operate. So the eGlass already has a built-in recording function. So with a touch of a button, you can just start recording, and it will save the file automatically to your local machine. And you can import that file. You can upload it to, say, YouTube. You can upload it to Canvas for the students to access. So that's another advantage, is that when you are thinking long term. So if you are creating some really good like eGlass type of videos, those can be used for long terms, and they can be used like years from now, and it's still going to be high quality, because as long as you know that students prefer that type of video, then yeah, I would say that just go ahead and give it a shot.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Any other questions I didn't get to cover throughout this session?
What do I need to do to use the eGlass?
Oh yes, that's a good question. I forgot to talk about that. So the eGlass is physically located in the studio space in the library. So we are on the 2nd floor, and to access the studio space, you actually need to make a reservation. So I'll show you real quick how to reserve the space. So if we go to the library's website, so lib.uidaho.edu, and we can go to navigate to services. Under services, we can find the studio. Then we want to click the reserve the studio button, and then you can choose to feel free to read the blurb about what you can do and how to reserve the space. But essentially, that first you need to choose a specific time slot. So if I want to do like a Friday from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I can choose those blocks and click submit time. All the policies, terms of use, feel free to read those on your own time, and then continue. And then you just need to put down your name, your email, and make sure to choose one of the 3 options. So if you are using the eGlass, so that will be the second option, instructional video creation, and submit your booking. And then you are going to be getting a automatically generated email to confirm that, hey, you have this space booked on this specific day, at this specific time, and then you can come to the library to get the key, because this is always locked. So what you what you can do, if I can show you, like there's like a specific process, so which is not super complicated, but essentially that if you're not sure what to do as a first-time user, if you have never been there, if you have never been here before, make sure to make an appointment first with me if you like. If you are an instructor, I expect that this is pretty straightforward, but if you want to meet with me, feel free to touch base with me. And then make the reservation through our reservation system. It's called LibCal. And then once you have the reservation available, once you have the reservation made, then you just need to come in during the scheduled time and then go get the key from the circulation desk. And then now you have access to the eGlass. Anything else anybody can think of? If you can't think of anything else, my email is right there. I'm going to email you the recording of this session. I'm going to email you my PowerPoint slide. And if nothing else, I want to thank you all for coming to today's workshop. I really appreciate your time and your attention as well. And please just feel free to reach out to me at any point to talk about eGlass, instructional design, or anything that you're curious about. So thank you all.